So, I'm like a fucking idiot because I made a video and I didn't have the right mic selected, so I couldn't hear anything I was saying. And I just spent a good almost 20 minutes on that video. So whatever, fuck it, we're gonna do it over here. Okay, the point of this video, it's mainly for to make videos about trying to kind of do trying to chase after the passion that I have for thinking, social sciences, stuff based on that matter. You know, and a lot of times I look back at it and I'm like, that video's so fucking terrible, and a lot of times I've deleted tons of the videos that I ever put up on my YouTube. That's probably why there might not even be one of me on it, but whatever. The point of this video is expect my opinions and ideas from my intellect about various topics. Like, I've always wanted to do something like that. I've always wanted to be maybe a writer and kind of give advice, kind of explain things out, kind of like a philosophy type of approach to things. I don't know if that makes sense, whatever. But you know, it's just something I love to do. I love to think about things, I love to research, I love all that, and I've always wanted to kind of express and share my ideas and my mind with the world. And the only way to really do that is to post it on the internet these days. Well, I can do other things, but fuck it. I started actually writing articles, and the feedback I've gotten back from two people, one person I took more seriously than the other. Wow, you sound like an author, you sound like you know what you're talking about, and it's clear, it's, you know, I can comprehend it. It's articulate but down to earth at the same time, and that's exactly what I wanted to achieve, because I don't like it when, you know, maybe it's because I am not smart enough to obtain very articulate information, but I like it more when I'm able to, when the audience I've targeted is able to understand what I'm trying to explain. Because a lot of times you try to explain something that you thought up in your mind, and it's not always easy to explain it to someone, because, and you know, I don't want to do that. I want people to understand. So, grasping control of an overanalyzing mindset. So, you know, overthinking and freaking out about stuff and making things worse in the end. I kind of wanted to give my opinion on how to get control over something like that. And the way I did it was I kind of explained it in a way where it's kind of like an example-based explanation, you know. If you were to get into this, one of those episodes, how would you go about solving that? The first thing I stress is that you should really try to calm yourself down. I know it sounds really cheesy, but like stopping yourself, taking a few breaths, just taking like 5 seconds to just calm the fuck down. Just get your shit together, okay? It sounds cheesy, like one of those, you know, things you learn is to handle stress. You scream in a pillow and all that shit. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but you should really do something like that, because in these types of situations with overthinking, control is key. I mean, if you can't control all of these spasmodic thoughts, then you're never going to be able to find a solution to any of them, you know? So kind of map out and lay out the problem in your mind. What exactly is bothering you? What is really, you know, getting to you right now and causing you all this stress? Like, if you had a math problem, somebody gave you a math problem, they were like, solve blah 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 blah, but they didn't draw it on the board, well, you would write it out because you want to take it step by step, not just trying to fucking solve it with your brain. Like, well, some people can do that, but I can't do that. So anyway, so what you want to do is you map it out. You find out what it is that's bothering you. And a lot of times you won't realize, but there will be a bunch of little sub-worries that will plant themselves in your mind already. And the stress from each of those is latched onto you, and it builds up, and it creates all this underlying stress that kind of just affects the issue that you're currently focused on and makes it seem like a bigger issue than it actually is, if that makes any sense. So, you know, I like to call them like the subconscious issues. It's not that you never consciously thought of each of these little worries. They popped into your head that day, but you kind of pushed them aside because there's something bigger to worry about. Now that's great, trying not to be all hooked on being worried about this one thing, but a lot of times, if you don't really confront that little issue that popped up in your brain, then it's still going to cause you stress. So what you want to do is kind of try to solve it or subdue it. And the reason why it causes such a problem for the bigger issue is because all that negative energy, you end up channeling it towards that big issue, and you blow it out of proportion. So like to give an example, you're going to an interview or something like that, and you realize that throughout the day, before the interview, throughout the day, you've been clumsy, you've been dropping shit all over the place, you're fucking up simple tasks, you're getting pissed off, like you're having those little mini rage moments that we don't like other people to see, and you're snapping on people, and you're like, why am I freaking out so much? Like, it must be this stupid interview I have later. It's like draining me emotionally, it's making me freak out. It's not that. It's that there's other things that are bothering you underneath the surface, and they're all combining together to cause huge stress. So start off by identifying and confronting those tangent issues that are in your subconscious. So after you've mapped everything out and you're calm and everything, the next step is to think about it. And don't fucking overthink, just think about it. What are these other things that are bothering me? I have like a quiz on Friday, and I haven't really studied much, and I have a paper to write, or I'm going on a date tomorrow or something like that. And these three things, like I said, they've consciously came into your mind various times throughout the day, and may still be coming into your mind. But they're not immediate. They're not things that are currently happening, and so you're trying to kind of just push it out of the way so that you can focus a little more. And so, like I said, since you're pushing them aside, you're just causing more of a problem. So what you want to do is, okay, take one of those problems at a time, and just to confront them, you can even just like rationalize. And sometimes that alone will subdue the problem altogether. So like, you're like, oh, alright, I got a fucking, I got a date tomorrow, and I'm freaking out because I like this person, and I don't want to look stupid, and this and that, and all that stuff. So what you do is you think, okay, well, we'll rationalize. Let's be real. How many dates have I ever went on? Or how many people have ever even just friends, like, interacting with? Am I, does everybody fucking hate me when they first meet me, or am I a decent person, or am I like the shit, But yeah, like, think about that, and think about those dates. Like, when I've went on dates, like, I've handled them well. Like, have you had a fucking like boyfriend or girlfriend? Okay, then it's not that bad, right? I mean, if you never had a boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's been a while, then you might want to be worried, but I'm not trying to be mean or anything. But so think about that, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I've had a few dates, and I did fairly well. I'm a generally, like, I have friends and stuff like that, like, generally likable person, and don't go all low self-esteem, and just really think about it. Be rational, be real, So even just doing stuff like that sometimes maybe it won't completely solve the issue, but it'll subdue it so that it's not such a fucking, like, problem, And now you want to do that with each one. Now, if you do come across an issue that is a little, that's really difficult and really complex to even subdue, then you need to think about your priorities. If this is really such a big problem, then maybe I should shift my focus onto this. Maybe this should be the main issue right now. Like I said, like, oh, the exam, the quiz I have on Friday, like, I really haven't studied and I don't feel that prepared. Well, maybe you should just stop if you have time during that current moment, stop and do some studying, or schedule in some studying throughout the week in your free time, and make that your main issue, because obviously it's top priority if you really can. And then when you go back to that interview, you're like, oh, this really wasn't as big of an issue than I thought it was. The quiz was more important, and I had to devote more energy to that. I'm not saying that's how it is. I'm just saying it could be. So realize at the end, when you look back at this more immediate issue or main issue, you realize that it's really not. I'm not saying it's completely, harmless, but you realize it's not as bad as you made it out to be. After you've kind of pushed all these sub issues away, you're able to focus, and you're like, okay, well, I can do this. Like, I can handle it. It's doable, and it's not as big of a problem as I thought it was in the beginning. So this little process that I've hopefully clearly explained, if it's followed promptly, I'm not guaranteeing, fucking the greatest result ever. I'm not saying that this is right for everyone. I'm not saying that it's the best solution. These are just my opinions and my ideas from my mind. When I was writing this, I was actually having those problems of my own, and I was thinking it through, and I was like, how can I tackle this? So, and I figured this is the best opportunity to write something about it. So as I solved my problems, I kind of wrote it down and explained a little bit of how I thought it through. So it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. It doesn't mean it's going to work for anybody. It's just something that I wanted to share, because I feel like a lot of times when you ask, there's sometimes questions that you can't even ask because they're too specific, or there's sometimes these questions that you Google or something like that, or you ask somebody and you get really generic answers, and it's not really detailed. So I tried to go in depth and just give a lot of specifics and details, so that maybe it would help a little more. It would connect with you listeners and things like that. So yeah, these are just my opinions and my ideas, and I hope it came out right.